What's up guys, welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to be creating this full stack to-do app with Next.js, MongoDB, Prisma, and Tailwind. Let's go ahead and add a to-do. And now we have the option to change the status of our to-do to completed or not completed. We can also edit the to-do. Go ahead and change it to code for 10 hours, and we can also delete it as well. In this project you'll learn Prisma CRUD operations, and all of this is being tracked inside of our database, and we'll also be using Next.js 14 server actions. So let's go ahead and get started on this project. Alright, so head over to your terminal and we're going to type in npx create next app at latest. I'm going to do a dot after mine because I want it to be created in the folder that I'm in. It's going to ask a few questions. We will be using TypeScript. ESLint, no. Tailwind, yes. Source directory, no. App router, yes. Import alias, this is optional. I'm going to choose yes, and I'm going to be using the @ symbol. We'll give that a second to load everything up. While that's installing, we can head over to prisma.io. I say we go ahead and get our Prisma set up, our database set up, and then do our styling, and then we're going to add our functionality with server actions. So that's installed. So now head over to prisma.io and then click on quick start, and then down here, so we already got TypeScript installed, so we can just skip over here to this step here, install Prisma -- save dev. So let's go ahead and copy that, and we can go ahead and install that. Now go back, and then we want to go to the next step. We're going to copy this. But before you press enter, we're going to change this to MongoDB because we're not using SQL in this one. We're using MongoDB. Give that a second and you should see a Prisma folder created with a schema. We can remove all of these comments there, clean it up a little bit, and I say we do that as well. Let's go ahead and clean up some of these files. We can delete the public folder. We won't be using that in this project. And app, we can delete favicon. And inside of the layout, we're using the same font. We don't need to do anything in here yet. This page, we can select all, delete, and just export just a div like that. Clean it up. We can also change this to home like this. Alright, so that's that. We got Prisma installed. There's a few other things we want to install as well. So let's go ahead and open back up our terminal. We're going to do an npm I CLSX. I'll explain what that is when we get to it. We're also going to install React-icons as well. Let's go ahead and install both of those. And just to make sure that they both installed, I'm going to head over to my package lock JSON. We got CLSX and we also got React icons. Nice. All right, cool. And let's go ahead and set up our database now. So head over to MongoDB. Not Mongoose, sorry. MongoDB Atlas. All right, and click on this. And if this is your first time using it, it's going to make you create an account. So I'm just going to do this as if I was creating an account from scratch. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in with my Google. Let me think of one that I haven't used yet. Let's do this one. And all right. So I believe it's going to ask a few questions whenever you set up. All right, so accept, and it's gonna few seconds to register. All right, and it's gonna ask a few questions. You can answer these. I just click on anything. So what's your primary goal? Learn Mongo, new to Mongo, and JavaScript and Node. User activity, and you can just say not sure for the next one. I'm going to finish it up. And here is the important part. So obviously I know guys don't want to pay. I mean, I don't want to pay. It's just a practice project, so just make sure you click on free, and we're gonna do AWS, and you can keep it Virginia, whatever this is. The default is for this one. I'm not sure if it's going to be, if you're over in the West, it's going to be different, but just whatever. You don't got to change this. The name, you can keep your cluster 0 as well, and we go ahead and create. And go ahead and stairs, bam, bam. Okay. All right. So next is going to ask you to create a username and password. You can do whatever one you want. I'm just going to do Antonio, and a password is just going to be admin, like that. Or I probably should have did that the other way around. Admin and then password Antonio. So I'm going to create user. And for the IP address, for now we can just, I'm going to remove that one. And for now we can just put, since this is just a practice project, we're just going to put 0.0.0.0. And we're going to add entry. And finish and close. Go to overview. And just like that, we got our database. So we do want to connect it. Let's go ahead and click on connect. Click on drivers. We don't need to install MongoDB because we're using Prisma, but we do have to copy this code here over to our .env file. Let's go ahead and copy that. And Prisma, whenever we did the Prisma init, it created this .env file here. So let's go ahead and just remove these comments. And now just going to put our database URL inside this one. All right, and for password, we're just gonna, the password that we just created for our user, we're just gonna put it here. I'm gonna do admin. And I'm not sure if this is necessary, but my database wasn't working, but whenever I didn't have anything here. So I think you gotta add like a title or something here. I'm just gonna do to do like this. And we might go back and change that and just test it out to see if it still works. So just make sure you add like anything after this little slash there. And just give it a save. And just like that, I believe our database is connected. So we do need to make a schema. And this is going to be a really small schema. Let's go ahead and do that now. So we're going to do a model to do. And we're just going to do an ID. And this ID is going to be a string. And we got to do an @ID. And default is going to be, sorry, put too many parentheses there. Default is going to be UUID, like that. All right, so whenever we hover over this, we're getting an error because we're using MongoDB, so we got to add this little map at the end of it. I believe if you were just using SQL, you wouldn't have to do this. But since we're using MongoDB, we got to add @map parentheses, and we got to do _ID, and that will get rid of that error. All right, so we got our ID, and we got to have a title, and that's going to be a string with a question mark, and we're going to do is completed, and this is going to be a Boolean. And we also want to add a default to this as well. We're going to do default, and this is going to be false. And we forgot the @ symbol. Like this. And we can also do created at. And this is, sorry about the car out there. Date time, and the default is going to be now. Like that. All right. So that's it. That's the only schema we're gonna have. We're not adding any users. Obviously, if we was adding users, this list would be super big because we gotta add relations to this. We gotta add, they gotta have like their own to-do array and stuff like that. So this is all we're gonna do with this schema. So that is it, I believe. Let me just make sure. So I actually want to test this out. So I believe if we do an npx Prisma generate. Let's see if that works. So do an npx Prisma generate. Just give it 1 second to load. Okay, but that means all I see is green, which is good. Let's see if this shows in our database now. I'm not sure if if we need something inside of our collection for it to show. So yeah, it's showing empty now. So yeah, I think we have to actually add something to the database. So it's not like SQL. So whenever I worked with Prisma with my railway database, I can do a npx Prisma migrate dev, and it would show this whole entire schema inside of the database, even if we didn't have any data in it. So I'm not sure if it does that for MongoDB. So let's go ahead and just finish up with everything, and then hopefully it'll add to our database. So we can close out of the schema, and let's go ahead and start creating our components and stuff. So let's go ahead and create a component folder. So components, and inside this folder we're actually going to have two folders. So we're going to have shared, and we're going to have another one, and it's going to be called UI, like that. All right, so inside of the UI we're going to have three components. It's going to be form.tsx, REFE, and then we're going to have another component. It's going to be input.tsx, and then last but not least we're going to have a button.tsx. all right, cool. All right, so cool. I think we should do the add to do first. So inside of the app, we're gonna make a folder. Inside of our app folder, we're gonna make another folder, and it's gonna be called actions. Okay, and then inside this actions folder, we're gonna have a file, and it's gonna be called to do actions.tsx. All right, so let's go ahead and start our server up. Trying to think, is there anything else we should do before we do that? Actually there is. So inside of, let's make a utils folder. Utils, and this is just for Prisma, so we don't have to keep calling Prisma client every time. It's gonna make an error inside of our console if we keep calling it too many times. And this is all inside of the documentation as well. Somewhere on here I can find it, but we could just do it. So inside of this utils, we're gonna make a file. It's gonna be called prisma.ts. All right, and in here it's gonna do an import Prisma client / Prisma client. And I'm not sure, did we install Prisma client? Well, I think once we did the npx Prisma generate, I believe that it installed Prisma client once we did that. So that's good. So we're gonna do a const global for Prisma, and this is going to equal global this as unknown as, and then brackets, we're gonna do Prisma, and then Prisma client or undefined, like that. And then down here we're gonna do an export const Prisma, and this is going to equal global for Prisma dot Prisma 2 question marks new Prisma client, like that. And now we're gonna do an if check. So we're gonna do if our process dot env dot node underscore env is not equal to production. We'll do global dot Prisma equals Prisma, like that. All right, and this is all in the documentation. I'm not that smart. I didn't come up with any of this. All inside the documentation. We probably could have just copy and paste this entire thing over. But So yeah, just make sure you copy this, and now we can call Prisma inside of our actions and inside of our components without getting that error. So we can close out of this, and now I say we go ahead. Let's head over to our layout right quick, and that's just one little change we're gonna do. Let's go ahead and start our server as well. Do an npm run dev. Start our server up. Refresh. And make sure it says Next.js 14.02. We're using the newest version of Next.js. Alright, so give that a second, close out of that, and there we go. And I'm glad that we started our server because we forgot to do one thing to remove all of these styles inside of this global CSS. Like that. Save it, and background should turn white. Alright, so inside of our layout, we just want to just change the background of our body. So to do that, we just gotta wrap this inner dot class name. We're gonna wrap it in backticks, and we also gonna wrap it in brackets like that. And we're just gonna put a little $ in front of it like that. So now we could just add some extra styling. Do a BG gray 200 like that. And you can also change the metadata as well, and just do like to do or Next.js server actions, something like that. That way you could change the little title on the tab. And I believe that's it for our layout. And we can close out of global CSS. We can close out of to-do actions and all of these UI components. So inside of the shared folder, we're gonna make a file that's gonna be called, make a file inside of the shared that's gonna be called add to do .tsx. All right, cool. Let's see. All right, so inside of this add to do, let's head over to our page, our home page, just so that way we can see our changes that we're making into this component, because this is where everything's going to go. We're going to put everything on the home page. So let's head over to there, and we're just going to add some styling to this. Let's see. Let's go ahead and import add to do. Add to do. Well, we might want to export it first, right? Export. Add to do, and head over to the page, and we're going to import it here. Add to do. All right, cool. So a few things. Let's just go ahead and just style this up just a bit. So inside this return, we're gonna do a div, and this div is gonna have a class name of wScreen, a py of 20, flex, a justify center, flex call, and an item center, like that. All right, and let's go inside of this div. We're gonna have a span, and this span is gonna have a class name of text 3XL, a font of extra bold, and uppercase. And inside here it's going to do at, like that. Let's take a look at that. Nice. Alright, so underneath this span, we're going to have an H1. And this H1 is going to have a class name of text 3XL, a font of extra bold, font of extra bold, uppercase, and a margin bottom of 5, like that. And then inside of this H1, it's going to say Next.js 14. Let's take a quick look. Nice. Right under this, right underneath that, we're going to have a span, and it's going to say server actions, like that. Quick look. All right, so let's style that up a little bit. We're going to do a class name of text orange 700, and just a margin left of 2. Perfect. All right, cool. And so right underneath this H1, we're going to have another div, and this is just going to have a class name of flex, a justify of center, flex call, and then an item center. And also we're going to do a width of dash 1000 pixels, like that. And inside of this div, this is where we're going to add our add to do. We're going to do add to do, like that. So now all the changes that we make inside of our add to do, we'll be able to see now. So cool. So let's head over to our add to do and start writing some stuff for this. Component, shared, add to do. All right, so a few things we're going to import. We're going to import all of our UI components. So we're going to go ahead and import form. We're going to import input. And we also going to import our button. All right, so all 3 of our UI components. And now we're just going to return our form. All right. And our form is going to have a class name. Actually, let's keep it like this for now. Up like that. And inside of this form, we have a div. Wait. Oh, I know what I did wrong here. So this form it's not going to be like an actual. It's going to be a component, but we're going to have it our children inside of it. So we're just going to have it closing like that. So the form, and then inside here have a div like this, and the div is going to have a class name of flex like that. And inside of this div, this is where we're going to have our input like this. So we can just do input component, and then we also going to have our button component like that. All right. So for now, we could just keep it like this. We will get an error most likely. Let's see. So yeah, it's missing the children. So let's go ahead and just style all the 3 of these up now, just so everything can flow well. So let's start with the input. So here, we're actually going to take in some props. So we're going to take in a name. We're going to take in a type. I'm going to take in placeholder, and we're also going to take in a value. Okay. All right, and we will get errors because of TypeScript. We'll fix them here in a second. But let's go ahead and just return some JSX now. I'm going to turn a fragment, and then we're going to return an input like this, and that's self-closing. And all we got to do is just this will have a class name. We'll have a class name with full, a pattern of 2, a border of gray 200, and also we gotta add border like that just so the border can work. We probably should put this in front of that. I think it'll be smarter to do like that. Let's get rid of that. All right, and now we're just gonna do name equals our name. I'm gonna do type equals type. I'm gonna do value equals value, and we're gonna do placeholder equals placeholder like that. All right, cool. And for the TypeScript errors, we just got to do an interface, and you can name this whatever you want. I'm gonna do input props, and just gotta basically name the types for each one of the props. So the first one, our name, we want it to be a string. All right, and then type, we want it to be a string. And then placeholder, we want to make that optional, so we're gonna put a question mark like that. and we want this to be a string. And then next is value. We want this to be optional as well, but we also want it to be a string. All right. And now we just have to, right inside of this props, we just got to do input props like that. And there we go. So that is our input component. Like I said, we're not going to see it yet because our form isn't taking any children. So let's go ahead and do that one now. So our form, inside of our form's a little bit trickier. It's going to be a little bit more confusing, but hopefully I'll try to explain it the best I can. We're going to make this a use client, and we're going to import use ref, and also I'm going to import something else as well from React. And we're also going to import React node, so we don't even need 2 imports. We can just do them both from here. React node, like that. All right, so our form props, we're going to take children. I'm going to take action, take a class name, and take on submit, and I believe that is it for now. For our interface for these TypeScript errors, we're gonna do interface, and you can just do form props like this. And our children is going to be a React node, and then our action. All right, this is gonna be a little bit confusing, but it will all make sense once we do our actions. So our action is going to be form data, that's going to equal form data, like that, and it's going to return a promise, like this. Promise, spelled promise wrong, and it's going to be void or a boolean, like that. All right, it's going to save that. So that's our action. So once we add our actions inside of our to do actions file there, so then our class name it's going to be optional, and make this a string. And then last but not least, our on submit is just going to be a function. So we'll do on submit, and this is going to be optional as well. And then we could just do arrow function, and it's going to return void, like that. All right, so now down here we just gotta add our form props here, form props like that. And I must have spelled on submit wrong. Let's go ahead and make this uppercase S, like that. Cool. All right, so inside of our form, we want to first do a const ref equals use ref, and this is going to be a HTML form element, that, and do null. So the whole reason why we add in this use ref is because when we're working with server actions, I found that the form wasn't I ran into a bunch of problems doing this, but the form wasn't resetting every time, you know, I clicked on submit. So this use ref is gonna allow that to happen. So we're gonna do return, and this is where we're gonna return our form, like that, and like that. And then inside of our form, we have our children, like this. Now we should be able to see, there we go, see our button there, see our input there as well. So let's go ahead and add our stuff to our form. So we're gonna do class name, and that's going to equal class name. So these are just all of our props that we're going to be sending over here. And our on submit is going to equal on submit. and then our ref is going to equal ref, and then our actions. So this is going to be a little bit trickier. We're going to do action, and then we do brackets. I'm going to do async form data, all right, and then we're going to return. We'll do await action form data, like that. And then we're also going to do this one line of code is what's going to reset our form when we click the submit button. We're going to do ref dot current dot reset, like that. All right, there we go. And it looks like we're getting an error. Let's see. I believe there's supposed to be two brackets there, like that. All right, cool. So that is our form component. I believe we're finished with that. Let's head over to our button and do this one. So our button is going to be a use client. So this is the component we're going to be using CLSX in. This is just something that I just started using recently. It's not needed. Let me just explain it right quick. So inside of this div, if we wanted to render out the class names conditionally, we can obviously do like do a class name, and then we could do brackets and then backticks, and then we could do the $, and we do in here we can have BG gray, or not that, we can do like if is open is true, it'll render out certain styling, so you can do it that way. But with CLSX, I don't know, it's just cleaner in my opinion, and you don't need to do these backticks or anything. But to be honest, it's not really needed. So what was I doing? Let's see. And like I said, I just started using this. I'm pretty sure it's more stuff I can do with this, but this is the only thing that I'm really using it for now. So I'm going to import React node from React as well, just for our TypeScript. And so this button is going to take some props. It's going to take type, text, on click, action button, like that. And I believe that is it. Well, since we're here, we can just do button props. We didn't make this yet, but button props. So up here, let's make that button prop. So interface, button props. So the type is going to be it's going to be optional. So you can't just do type string, even though for our buttons, our type, we'll put button, and then it'll be type, and then it'll be text, and it'll be a string. We can't do it that way. We will get an error. So we gotta do it like this. We gotta do button or submit or reset, like that. Okay. And then our text is going to be a string or a React node. So you guys are probably wondering why this React node here is our text inside of our button is normally string. So we're going to be sending over some React icons to this button. So that's why we had to add this React node there, because if we just have string, React icons are basically, they're like components. So you import fi menu. Let's see if I got it. Fi menu. I got React icons installed. Fi menu from React icons. Let's see if I got it installed. From React icons fi. So I do got it installed. I don't know why it didn't work. well, F5 menu. And then to call that, it'll be something like FI menu, like that. Oh, there it goes. I forgot to uppercase it. So yeah, so we're gonna be sending over these, like, I guess, components or React icons to this button. So that's why we had to add this React node there. So TypeScript won't mess with us. So after text, I have an on click, and it's going to be optional as well. And it's just going to be a function. It's going to do arrow function void, and then our action button. That's going to be optional, and this is going to be a boolean. Okay, because I want certain stylings for our action buttons, so that's why I had to add this there. All right, so I forgot to add the comma here. That's why it was doing that. So inside of our return, we're just going to return fragments, and we're going to return a button like this, and it's in between our button. It's going to be a text like that. We probably could have just changed this to children. That way we don't gotta send over. I didn't think about that until now. You could probably change this to children, and or maybe actually no, we can't, because okay, yeah, no, we can't. We gotta keep it text, I believe. So our button, we're gonna do inside here, do an on click, and it's gonna equals on click. All of our props, type, it's going to equal type, and then our class name is going to equal CLSX, and make sure you do parentheses and just make some space here. So we want it to be, so if it's action button, we want it to render out certain stylings. So we do backticks if you want. That's not backticks. Quotes. We're going to do BG orange 700 like that. I want it to be rounded full. I want the pattern to be 2, and I want the text to be white. Alright, so if you guys don't know what short circuiting is, it's basically whenever you do, so if it's action button, do and it's gonna fire these styling. So, but if it's not action button, it'll short circuit out and won't even read this next line of code. So that's what that is. So there's no need to put, if action button equals to true, don't need to do that. You could just do the short circuit method here, where it wouldn't even fire if action button is false. So after that, we're gonna do a comma, and we want the so if it's not action button, we just want the BG to be orange 700, and we want the PX pattern left and right to be 2, and we just want text to be white like that. Take a quick look. All right, cool. And I believe that is it for our UI component. So let's head back over to our add to do, and let's start sending over some of these props, because we're getting a bunch of errors there. Let's go ahead and do this right quick. So inside of our form, so we didn't make any actions yet, so we can't really send it over any actions, but we could send it over class name. So do a class name of width 1.5, and we're gonna do a margin of auto like that. Take a quick look. And as you can see, it got smaller. And then for our input, we're going to send it over our name. Name is going to be input. And then our type is going to be text. And then for our placeholder, it's going to be this add to do. with 3 dots. It makes it look better. There we go, add to do. And then for our button, one thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do a type of submit. And then our text is just going to equal to add. Like that. Quick look, and there we go. So now we got our add button and our add to do. Perfect. So our form's getting an error because we haven't made any actions yet. So let's go ahead and actually create our first server action inside of our to do actions. Let me go to open it up here. App actions. All right, so here we can just do use server. So there's no more. I mean, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be using server actions a lot, but yeah, normally we'll make our API folder, and then we'll do a response request, all of that stuff. So we don't even need to do it. It's so easy to do it like this. I'm not gonna lie. So we're gonna do import. Let's go to import revalidate path. That's gonna be coming from Next, and we're also gonna import our Prisma. Prisma. Make sure it's lowercase. I gotta scroll down to find it. And this is going to be coming from that utils file that we made earlier. So now we can just go ahead and get started. So we're going to make our first one. It's going to be called create. So we're going to export async function. And this is going to be called create. And here we're going to take in our form data. And just for TypeScript, it's going to do form data like that. Create. All right, cool. So in here, do a cons input. So we're going to grab that input, and this is going to equal form data dot get. I'm going to get the name, which is input, and add string like that. And now we can just do our Prisma CRUD operations. So we're going to do a wait Prisma dot to do dot create. So we want it to create a to do, and then we just got to send it over to data that we want it to update. So we do data, and we're just going to do title. That's going to equal to input like that. All right, cool. And we got to revalidate the path. If we don't add this, I believe. Actually, let's see what happens if we don't add it. So revalidate path. All right, cool. Let's see if this works now. So let's head over to the add to do, and here we're just going to add our action, and it's going to be create, and it should come from our app actions to do actions like that. All right, cool. And now let's see if this works. So I'm just going to do hello world, and I'm going to press enter, or we could just click the button if you want. All right, so it disappeared, which is good. And now let's head over to our database and see if it worked in here. Let's refresh. Nice, it works. So perfect. So we got our ID, we got our title, we got is complete, which is false, so that's the default. We also got the time it was created. So perfect. That's what we wanted. So we do have to add revalidate path, and I think I know why. So once let's see if it happens. So once I refresh, let's head back over to our database. And let me see if it does it. Okay, so I didn't do it that time, but one error that I was running into is whenever I refreshed the page, it kept sending the same the last input over to the database. So every time I refresh, it will go to 2, it'll go to 3, it'll go to 4 of the same input of the last one that I put in. So to fix that, we just had to put head back over to the to do, and we're just gonna add revalidate path like that, just so it won't cause any issues. All right, cool. Let's refresh. So we got it in our database. I'm gonna add again. Yes, refresh, make sure that's still working. Yep, we got 2 now. So now we want to see it on our screen. So here we go over to our page, our home page, and a few imports we're gonna import. First we're gonna import Prisma. Scroll down some, and it's gonna come from our utils. And so outside of our home function, we're gonna do a async function. I'm gonna do async. I'm gonna do an arrow function like that. And this one is going to be called, actually I don't want to do that. Try to think of how we can do it. Yeah, let's just do it this way. Let's just do our async function. Async function, and it's gonna be called get data, like that. And here it's gonna do a const data, and it's going to equal await Prisma dot to do find mini, find mini, like that. Wonder why we're getting the error. Oh, thought we was. So now we're gonna do select. So now we just want to select what we want from our data. So we want the title. So we want it to be true. We want to grab the ID. So we're gonna make that true. I believe we gotta add commas for this to work. And then we also want to add is completed true as well, like that. And we can also order by. We can do order by, and we're gonna do created at. I'm gonna do descend, like that. Not describe. I think this gotta go in parentheses like that. Perfect. So that's our get data function. And we also need to return our data. So right underneath here, it's going to do return data, like that. All right, cool. So now, since we want to grab this data and put it inside of our home component, we got to make this a async function. We're going to do async, like that. And now we could do a const data. You can do await get data, like that. All right. So essentially, we got our data now inside of our home component. So now we can use it. So right underneath this add to do, I'm gonna make a div, and this div is gonna have a class name of flex cal, a gap of 5, item center, a justify center, a margin top of 10, a width of full, and I believe that is it. So inside of this div, this is where we can map through our data. So we're gonna do the data.map, and we're gonna do to do. And we're also gonna grab our ID as well. And we're gonna return some JSX. So make sure you do parentheses and not brackets. So now we're gonna do a div. And here it's gonna have a class name of width full. And we also gonna give this a key of our ID. Because every time you map with React, you gotta make sure you add that key. And here we're gonna return a to do. So we didn't create this component yet. We return a to do. And we also want to send this to do our to do props. We could do that in a second. So we haven't made this to do yet, so let's go ahead and create this one now. So inside of this to do, inside of this component folder, the shared, I make another component, This is going to be called todo.tsx. Let's go ahead and export it. And let's head back over to our page. Let's go ahead and import it. To do. Alright, save that. And now let's see what happens. So now we got 2 to-dos. And if we add another one, it should be 3 now. So that's what we want. So now we can go ahead and start styling this to-do. Let's head over to there. Share and to-do. Alright, so here we want, trying to think of how we can do this. Alright, I know what we can do. So we could just do one at a time. So here, let's go ahead and do a div. And it's going to make this a class name of with full, flex, item center, a justify between, a BG of white, a PY of 3, a PX of 20, and a rounded of 2XL. Let's give that a save. And there we go. And inside of here, this is where we're going to have our change to do component, our edit to do component, and our delete to do component. But we haven't created those yet. So for now, we're just going to do a span. Right? And it's going to have a class name of text center, a font of bold, and uppercase. And here, this is where we're going to have our to do dot title. All right. So we got to send over our to do through props. So here, let's go ahead and receive it in here and do to do. And then head back over to our page. Now we got to send this over and do to do equals to do, like that. Let's take a look. And there we go. We got all of our titles now. I can do my name. And there we go. So once we press it, so if we got a little bug that we got to fix. So once we press enter, as you can see, it's like, it's going, it keeps going every time we press enter. So that's a little bug that I ran into. To fix that, we're gonna head over to our actions, right? And there's just one little line of code we gotta add. So our to do actions, right? So right underneath this input there, we're gonna do a if. So if not input dot trim, like that. All we're gonna do is just return. That's it. All right. So with that, now once we press enter, as you can see, it's not adding a to do. So that's what we want. All right, perfect. So head back over to our to do. And let's go ahead and finish this up right quick. Let's see. Shared and to do. So here, underneath this span, I'm gonna have a div. Actually, let's not add that right now. Let's go ahead and over top of this span, we're going to add a component called change to do, like that. All right, and we want to send this to do with our to do. So just make sure you send it over to do, like that. So let's go ahead and create this component. This component is basically going to be a component where we're going to change the status of our to do from true to false. So completed, not completed. So inside of the share, let's go ahead and create that. Let me change to do tsx. Right. And go ahead and start this one. All right, cool. All right, so in this one, let's just go ahead and import it here just so we can see our changes. Let's go ahead and import change to do. Let's see. So as you can see, is on each one of our to-dos now. All right, cool. So first thing we're going to import is our form UI. Import our form UI, and then import our button as well. Button. All right, and we also going to import a React icon. Import AI outline check circle. Hopefully I spelled that right. And this is coming from React icon / AI, like that. And I believe that is it for now. We do want to take in our to-do prop. All right. So now we can go ahead and start writing some JSX. So our form. All right, and in here we have an input. Actually, we need to add our input here. Our input from UI as well. Import input. Our UI component. And do input. Like that. Alright, so our name. So for this input, our name is just going to equal input ID. And our value is going to be todo.id. And then our class name. We don't need a class name actually, sorry. I can do a type, and this is going to be hidden. So we don't want this to be seen. Right? So right underneath here, this is where we have our button. Our button component. And it's going to be action button. So everything that's inside of our to do, so our change, our status, our edit to do, and our delete to do is going to be all action buttons. So it's going to have certain styling. Right? And we're going to have a text. It's going to be say submit. Actually, we don't even need a text actually. Oh, sorry, not text. Type is going to be submit. Sorry, it's getting pretty late here. And then our text is going to be our AI outline check circle, like that. Let's take a look, and hopefully this works. Nice. All right, cool. So our form don't have an action right now, so let's go ahead and make that action now. So head over to our to-do actions, and let's go ahead and create our change status actions. We're going to export async function, and you just do change status. All right, and it's going to be form data. I'm going to do form data like that. All right, so let's go ahead and grab our inputs. We're going to do cons input ID and put ID, and it's going to grab that from our form data. Form data dot get. So we're getting the name of that input, that hidden input that we did on our change to do component. So this is going to be input ID. I'm gonna do as string like that, and then we're gonna do a const to do, and this is going to equal await Prisma dot to do dot find unique. So here we're just going to tell it where to find it at. So we're going to do where and we're just gonna define our ID. Input ID. Sorry. Input ID. Oh, I'm messing up. Alright, cool. So right underneath here, what's the Alright, so now we want to do a cons updated status, and this is just going to equal to do, not to do is completed, like that. All right, and then underneath here I'm gonna do await Prisma dot to do dot update. So we're gonna update the status. Do update and do where. We gotta tell it where to update. So I'm gonna do ID, and it's gonna be our input ID. And we're gonna do a comma there, and then do a comma there as well. Now we're gonna do data, and we're gonna do is completed. It's going to equal our updated status, like that. And then right after all of this, we want to do revalidate path, like that. All right, cool. What am I doing? I'm outside of the let's put it underneath here, sorry, like that. And then we also want to return updated status as well. So underneath this revalidate path, we're going to return updated status. All right, cool. So that is our change status. So let's head over to our change to do component and import that inside of our action. Change status, save it. And now let's see if this works. Click it. Let's see if any one of these is true. Oh, we got one true. Nice. So it works. All right, cool. Actually, let's just change all these to true. I just want to see something right quick. We're gonna we changed them all to true. True, true, true. We got false because I believe that's the one that I clicked again. Let's go ahead and click this one again. Let's just make sure it switches back to false, because that's what we want. We wanted to give the option to. All right, so oh wait, it changed them all back to true. Wait. Okay, I think we gotta add some. Head back over to our to-do actions, and right underneath our find unique here, we're gonna add just a little bit of error handling. So we're gonna do if not to do, we just want to do a return like that. I think this is that right there is going to be let's click on that and let's see if it changes. So see, I'm not sure if this is the top one though. Let's see. Okay. All right, so we'll see whenever we add this actually. So let's head over to our change to do, and we're gonna add some certain stylings to where whenever it's completed, we want the opacity of our to do, and we also want it to be crossed out as well. So to do that, head to our change to do component, and it's a few things we're gonna add up here. We got all of our inputs, which is good. So underneath here, we're just going to do a const to do style like that. That's just going to equal text decoration decoration. And we're gonna do if to do that is completed equals to true, or we could just probably do short circuit. So we could do and I'm trying to think how we can do this. And can we just do line through? Actually, no, we're going to do a ternary operator. So do to do is completed, and if that's true, a question mark, we want it to be line through, but else we want it to be none, like that. All right, and we want to add this to do style to our div here, which, okay. So copy over this to do. I am like messing up here. I do apologize, guys. So copy this to do, and this is actually going to be inside of our to do component. All right, just go ahead and paste this in here like that. And now this is going to be on our div here. So right underneath, make some space. I'm gonna do a style, and it's gonna be to do style like that. All right, so let's see if that works. All right, so perfect. So click it, and I wonder if we unclick. Okay, perfect. So we click, unclick. We also want to change the opacity as well. So we're gonna do a comma, and we do opacity, and we do to do. That is completed. And if that equals to true, we just want the opacity to be 0.5, or else it's just going to be 1. Save that. And now the opacity for each one, because they're all true right now, so if we click, they're false. Nice. And the line through goes away as well. All right, perfect. So that is our change to do. As you can see, we get an error for this TypeScript error. So let's go ahead and take care of that now, just so we don't have to go back and change them all. So inside of the root, we're going to make another folder. It's going to be called types. All right, and then in here, we'll make a file. It's going to be called to do type. All right, so in this folder, we're going to do an export type to do type. And here we're just going to put all our types. So the ID is going to be a string. Title, make it optional. It's going to be string or null, like that. And then when it is completed, that's going to be a boolean. And then create it at like that, optional, and that's just going to be a date, like that. All right, so let's go ahead, we can close out of this and head back over to our to do. Let's go to import that here. So import to do type, and now we can get rid of this error by just making this to do type like that. We are getting another error, to do does not exist in to do type. To do type any. So let's head back over to our to do type, and let's see what the problem is. Yeah, export to do type, ID string title is completed. All right, yeah, I'm not sure why that's happening for now, but we'll eventually flow in together. Let's make this the same thing, to do type like that. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and create our next component. We'll fix all of these errors here in a second. Let's create our next component, and this is going to be our edit to do. Edit to do .tsx. All right. So this one, before we actually write any code in here, let's just go ahead and export it. And let's go ahead and create our edit to do action. So head over to our to do actions, and then right underneath our change status, we're going to create our edit to do. We're going to do an export, async, function, and it's going to be called edit, and form data, like that. All right, and then we're going to grab our two inputs that we're going to add to here, and do constant input. And it's going to equal form data dot get, and this one's going to be called new title. I'm going to do add string, and we're also going to grab our input ID, input ID, and that's going to equal form data dot get. We'll just copy this. Getting lazy here. This is going to be input ID, like that. All right, and let's go ahead and do our Prisma CRUD. And do a wait. Prisma dot to do dot update. And here we gotta tell it where. Do where, and do ID, and it's going to equal to our input ID. And now we need to do our data. So make sure you add a comma right here. Data, and we're going to do title, and that's going to equal to our input, like that. All right, so that's it with that. We just got to do our revalidate path. That. Perfect. So now let's head over to our edit to do, and let's start this one. Change edit. So this is going to take in a to do as well. So just make sure you do that, and head over to our to do right quick, and let's add it here, just so we can see the changes that we're going to make. Let's see. I got so many windows open. I do apologize. So to do, and so we want it right underneath here. So this span, I have a div, and it's gonna have a class name of flex, item center, and a gap of 5. All right, and here we're gonna have our edit to do, like that. Let's go ahead and send it over our to do prop as well, like that. Perfect. Okay, so inside of our edit to do function, let's go ahead over to here. So there's a few things that we have to do here. So we're gonna make this a use client. And we're gonna import edit from our actions. We're gonna import our form from our UI. I'm gonna import our input from our UI as well. We're also gonna import our button. Make some space here. Our button. We're also gonna import use state from React, and import our to do types. To do types. And last but not least, we're going to import a React icon, which is going to be bi edit, like that, and that's going to be from React icons /bi, like that. So those are all the imports that we need. Let's go ahead and write some JSX. All right, so we're gonna have a div, and this is gonna have a class name of flex, a gap of 5, and an item center. And in here, I'm gonna render our button component like that. And this is gonna have an on click of something that we didn't create yet. So for now, what if I could just do this? Return null. Just for now, just so we don't get any errors. We do text, and we wanted to send over our bi edit component. Our bi edit React icon like that. Take a quick look and see if this is working. Okay, nice. So we got our edit icon there. And this is also going to be an action button, so I can get our styling. So let's do action button. So once we add that action button, now we got our styling there. And now let's go ahead and set some state. So we're gonna do a cons edit to do, and then a set edit to do. The whole reason why we added in state is because whenever I click on the icon, that's when I want the input to show up to where I can edit the current to do. I don't want the input to be there by default. So we're gonna do a use state, and default is going to be false, like that. So we got two functions that we have to make. The first one is going to be a handle edit function. So handle edit. And this one here is just going to, whenever we're gonna add this to on click, and whenever we click it, it's just going to set edit to do to toggle edit to do. So it's just basically toggling false true every time we click it. We're gonna do that, and then edit to do, like that. All right, and then the second function is going to be our handle submit. Handle submit. And this one is basically whenever we submit the changes, if we submit the changes, it makes set edit to do to false. So it closes the input. So that's what we want. So we're gonna do set edit to do, and that's going to be false, like that. All right, so we got our button. So now we need to render some stuff out conditionally. So whenever we click that button. So let's go ahead and add this on click here. So this is going to be handle edit. So now once we click it, I'm gonna do brackets. So if it's edit to do, question mark, we're gonna return our form component, like that. And this is going to take some stuff here, take our action, which is going to be edit. Also going to take our on submit, which is going to be our handle submit, like that. And then inside here, I'm going to have our input component. And here, have our name, which is going to be input ID. And then our value is going to be to do .id. This has to go in brackets, sorry. To do .id. And then our type is going to be hidden. Okay. And then right underneath here, we're gonna have a div with a class name of flex and a justify of center. All right. And in this div, this is where the input that we're going to see. And do an input component, and the type is going to be text, and the name going to be new title, and then a placeholder is going to be edit edit to do dot dot dot. All right. So we're getting the error. Let's see. Div. Oh, I forgot the thing there. All right, so we do need an else. We could just return null like that for this to work. Now let's take a quick look. Give it a second to load. Let's go ahead and click it. So as we click it, as you can see, the input shows nice. All right, so we do need our button. We added, let's see, got a flex, got a 5. That's why it looked a little weird. As you can see, now we got it there. And now we need our button. Here, right underneath this input, we're gonna have our button component. And we can just do type submit. And then our text is going to be save, like that. And it should already have styling because we already use a reusable component. So now let's see if this works. So I'm gonna change this to code and then click save. And there we go. It changes the code. And I believe it should also change in our database as well. Take a quick look, see if we see anything with code. Oh, code right there. Nice. Perfect. So I believe that is it with our edit. So now we need to make our delete one. So let's go ahead and do that now. Here, let's go ahead and do to do type like that. I don't know if this has to be like, why is this not working? Why am I still getting an error there? That's so weird. We're gonna fix that though at the end. So share. Now we're gonna do delete to do. Got tsx. We're gonna export it so we can import it inside of our to do. And it's gonna go right underneath here. It's gonna be delete to do like that. We also gotta send it over the props. To do equals to do. Take a quick look, and there we go. We got our delete now. So let's go ahead and do our server action for this one. This one is pretty short, not too much. We just gotta do our Prisma CRUD operations with this one as well, but it's really easy. It's the shortest one. We're gonna do export async function. And it's going to be called delete. And do form data. Oh, spelled it wrong, sorry. Form data. And that's going to equal form data. Like that. Alright, so we're going to do a const input ID. And that's going to equal form data. Alright, I'm messing up. Form data dot get, and we're gonna grab the input ID like that, and it's gonna be as string. Alright, let's see what I did wrong here. Export async function. Oh, so oh, this is funny. So you can't have delete is reserved word, so you got to do delete to do. So yeah, delete to do, and then so we grabbed our input, and all we got to do now is just do an await Prisma dot to do dot delete, and you got to tell it where. So where we're just going to do ID. It's going to be input ID, and that's it. Add a comma here, and let's go add a comma there. And let's also add our revalidate path. Alright, so that's our delete. So let's head over to our delete to do. And let's go ahead and start styling this one. There's a few imports on this one we have to do. We're gonna first make this a use client, and we're gonna import our delete to do from our actions. We're gonna import button. We're gonna also import our form as well. And also our input. Make some space there. Input. UI. And last but not least, our to-do type. To-do type. Alright, perfect. So this is taking in a to-do. And now just go ahead and write some JSX. So it's going to return a form component, and the action is going to be our delete to do action. Don't need any styling. So we are gonna error. Oh, it's missing children, that's why. So inside here, we're gonna return our input function from our input component. And this is gonna take some stuff. This is gonna take a type hidden. Our name is going to be input ID. And then our value is going to be to do .id, like that. All right, that's that one. And now our button, submit button, and that's going to take action button for the styling. And then text is going to be our React icon. BS. Did I not? Oh, I forgot to import it. But it's BS fill trash. BS fill trash fill, like that. Alright, let's go ahead and import that. Copy that. Paste it up here. And that's going to be from React icons. Right. React icons slash BI. BS. Alright. Because this is some BS right now. I'm fucking up. And then we're also going to add some type submit as well. Submit. Right. So now let's see if this works. Delete. And it deletes every last one of them. Nice. We got our CRUD operations on point. Everything is working the way that we want. Check our database. Our database should be completely empty. So 0. Nice. Let's go ahead and add one. Shows one there. We can complete it. Make sure it turns to false. I mean to true. Sorry. Oh, yep, it's completed true. We can also edit. We probably should have made it to where you can't edit when it's completed, but yeah, probably should have did that. So make that, and we're going to code for 10 hours, like that, and there we go. All right, cool. Let's head over to our change to do. Actually edit to do. And I'm trying to think here. I wonder if we add a if check in here. So if we add an if check. To do like if to do dot is completed equals true, we could just return like that. That probably won't work, but let's see. So click that, and you can't edit. Nice, perfect. All right, that's what we want. So just add that little thing there, and let's wait. Hold on, something just happened. All right, nice. Now we can edit. Now, when it's false, we can't edit. Perfect. So we still want to delete, which is good. All right, perfect. So that's that. So now we got some TypeScript errors here that we gotta fix. We gotta see why this is happening to us on this late night. All right, so I found the issue. So head over to your components for the change to do and a delete to do and edit to do. So we gotta actually wrap this up in brackets, because if you look at the error, let me just go back right quick. It's basically saying to do does not exist on to do type. So it doesn't exist inside of our to do type. So to fix that, all we have to do is do brackets and then do to do is to do type like that. So go ahead and copy that, and we're going to paste that over on the rest of them. Paste that there. And then also paste it there. And for our to do as well, we should be error free. Nice, that's what I like to see. No errors. Perfect. Make sure the console is clear as well. Yep, nothing in the console. That's all old stuff there. Perfect. So that is it, guys. Hopefully you guys learned something from this. I learned a lot just by doing this little quick project. And I'd highly recommend doing stuff like this. Next.js 14, server actions. I believe server actions been out since 13, but they just became stable in Next.js 14. So I never used them until now. So a good way to practice is just creating a little quick project like this one and just doing practice with it. So I do plan on adding server actions to my project that I'm currently working on, which is a full stack blog website. So I do plan on adding server actions in that one. I'm not sure yet. I'm probably like about 80% completed. So I'm not sure if I want to go back and refactor the code yet or not, but I might. But yeah, that's it for me this video. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next video. Peace.